Hello, everyone, and hello, Gary. Welcome to this discussion. Thank you so much for agreeing to come on board.
Oh, look, it's a real pleasure. It'll be a good conversation.
Yeah. It is a hard conversation as well. I have to let our listeners know that there will be topics covered such as suicide prevention, and also the Indigenous race as well. So, um, I first met Gary. We haven't actually met in real life, but Gary came to my attention when I started noticing his beautiful photographs that he posted on one of the Tasmanian pages down here. And I was absolutely taken aback by how beautiful his photos were. And I'm just a fledgling novice photographer, so I was really impressed. And to speak to Gary, I'm like fangirling it right now. So, Gary, thank you so much for agreeing to talk about this topic. Can you, not the topic of photography, sorry, but yeah, suicide and suicide prevention. So for those who don't know you, could you just give us a brief summary of who you are, where you've come from, and where you are
Certainly.
today? Thank you.
Well, I'll start off by saying hello to everyone who's going to listen to this. I'm coming to you today from the Durrag land and the Gundagarra land in the top of the Blue Mountains at Katoomba, and I pay my respects to Aboriginal people who may participate in this discussion, to their elders, past, present, and emerging, and I acknowledge their connection to country and to the land, the sea, and the beautiful fauna that we share in here in the Blue Mountains and my spiritual home down there in Tasmania. I'm a career police officer. I've been in the New South Wales Police Force for going on 38 years now, and I currently work here in the Blue Mountains as a Detective Chief Inspector in the Blue Mountains Command as a duty officer. I have the proud distinction of working up here with my daughter Emily, who's a senior constable in the New South Wales Police. A very unique situation of having a dad and daughter combo working in the same location. And she's currently on her honeymoon, just got married to a paramedic. So we are a family of emergency service workers. Unfortunately, over the time in emergency services, one of the many things that we see that is hard is the devastation that suicide causes to the communities that we live in. Now, that's all communities. No one's immune from the threat or the risk of suicide, and it damages people from all sorts of walks in life, ages, and backgrounds. It's one of those things that really highlights that we are very common in origin, is that a problem that's spread right across our many communities. Like here today in Australia, on average, we lose 8 Australians a day. 6 of those are men to suicide, which is just a horrendous figure. Now, through my work in the police, I've often seen situations that prove that no one's immune. I've lost workmates to suicide. Now, some of that could be job related, others are their personal life. So I'm not suggesting that policing is the cause of suicide, but it's obviously a contributor to a lot of the emergency service workers, to our colleagues in the ambulance, fire brigades, and obviously in policing. So some years ago, I lost a friend, Jono, on the south coast of New South Wales. Similar rank and experience to me, and a guy who was the life of a group, a bigger than life personality, a very committed man to his community on the south coast. Used to take Indigenous boys fishing in Jervis Bay. He participated in a lot of charity events, cook-offs, and all sorts of other events to connect with the community. And, we were stunned when we lost Jono to suicide. I went to his funeral service down at Nowra on the south coast of New South Wales, and the place was packed. There's, 350, 400 people standing room only. And I looked around and I thought, Jono, if you could just see how much you were loved and respected, whatever your demons were, that they could have been addressed. And while I was there, I thought, well, it's not enough just to bemoan the loss of a good man. It's not enough just to watch this happen without doing something about it. The standard you walk past is the one you accept. And I made a pledge to Jono that I'd do something about the rate of suicide in Australia. And from there, I became a community ambassador with Are You OK? And I work in a volunteer capacity with them for about 5 years now, spreading the Are You OK message of how a conversation can change a life, and talking to businesses, social groups, professional organisations, community groups and individuals just about what we can do as lay people without training, without qualifications, to try to turn around this impact of suicide on the Australian communities.
Yeah, it is one of those hard conversations to have, and very much needed, especially among men. Now, I did actually do a search this morning just to find out the statistics of suicide. You're absolutely correct. 8 Australians die every single day, and that's higher than the road toll. 75% of those are men, and I find that tragic, absolutely tragic.
Oh, yes.
So tragic that, and I know that the conversation is very much needed with the individuals. And I'm really curious that I want to share a little bit of my story, then I'll ask the question after this. But when I was about 18 or 19, my impression of the world was one that it was so hard. So I remember I was about 18 or 19, and I tried to commit suicide as well, because I thought that my problems were so big. And honestly, I've never said this to anyone. No one knows this story. So, yeah. And for me, when I came to the realization that I can end the suffering, I can end the hardship by disappearing off the planet, suddenly my body got so relaxed, and I was so happy that I'd finally come up with the answer to my problems, is that I was just going to end it and disappear, and my world was going to be okay, because I wasn't going to be here anymore. I didn't have to face any more hardship or whatever my reality was at that time. So I guess my question is, and I've heard this said a lot, is that you can't actually see if somebody is on that pathway to suicide because they present the image of happy, they're content. How is it for you? Like, when does that conversation start for you, when the person in front of you is presenting as together? They're okay. They're not showing any signs of wanting to end their journey on this earth. So for me, that would be the hard thing to pick, is like, when do you step in and ask them, are you okay? Do you need to talk? When is that for you?
Oh, look, gee, you've opened a whole box of good things to talk about.
Yeah.
Firstly, congratulations on being vulnerable and revealing some of yourself. That is a trait that we as people need to be able to do, to drop those shields and show that we are vulnerable, and that's fantastic. Rolling just backwards a little bit, as you said, with those statistics. I don't like talking statistics, because 8 people. What I'd like listeners to do is think of 8 people in your life right now. Put a name to them.
Yeah.
You know, husband, brother, sister, wife, not just a statistic. You know, these people are humans. You know, they're part of someone's family. You know, we've got to associate the reality of these figures with, okay, you think of in a rugby league sense in New South Wales, a whole pack of forwards. You know, there's 3 in the front row, 2, and then another. You know, but you really put those faces to the names. Think of 8 people that you work with. So, you know, we can move from that bit there. Now, the other good thing that you raised is when do you have, what do you need to do? And you are right. A lot of people who have made that decision do find that little bit of aura. And some of the simple questions, such as, are you thinking of hurting yourself? They honestly say no, because they don't consider that to be a hurt. It's going to be the end of the problem.
Yeah.
So one of the things that Are You OK has pushed over the years is to watch for the signs, and trust your gut. Before people will get to that stage, there will be a change. You may have a person who is very gregarious, who goes quiet. You may have a person who spends a lot of time with their appearance and then suddenly starts looking a little bit loose around the edges.
Okay.
You may have a girlfriend who used to always turn up to netball and suddenly is stopped coming. Or a co-worker who used to join in at mealtime at lunch and join in with everyone, suddenly starts sitting on their own. So there's lots of these little signs that people will give off that there is a problem. Now, basically, what I'm suggesting to everyone is trust your gut. If you think there's something wrong with someone, chances are there is. And
Yeah.
that's when we have to step up and have that conversation.
Yeah, and it's never an easy conversation either, because people, I find, are very proud, and they don't, because to them, because I work in that field of what's the word? Like, I therapize people. There have been a couple of people that I have approached and said, I've just come straight out and said it because I've had that intuition and that gut feeling of, and I've just come, I don't beat around the bush, and I've said, are you thinking of hurting yourself? And the good thing about it was, this one person that's coming to mind said, yes, I am. And I said, do you have the means to do that? And he said, yes, I do. So we sat for a long time talking, just unraveling the confusion and the cacophony of noise that was in his head. Right. I never heard from him again. I did what I could do in that moment, though. So what is the message? What's the very, very simple message of Are You OK? Because I know that there are people not specifically in Australia that probably won't know about this program. And firstly, when was it launched, and what's it about?
Look, Are You OK has been invited to kick off in other countries, America and New Zealand for two. And they resist that because there's so much undone work here in Australia. So it is an Australian, but it's the leading suicide intervention charity in the country. It kicked off with a fellow called Gavin Larkin, who unfortunately is no longer with us. Gavin lost a battle to cancer, and he was determined before he died from his cancer, he was going to do something about the rate of suicide in Australia. His impetus was he lost his dad to suicide, and Gavin wanted to stop that or do something about that impact of suicide. So Gavin created this theme that basically is, in the time that it takes to have a cup of coffee, you can have a conversation that can change someone's life. And your example was the perfect one of that. And through the development of these things now, we actually don't even ask that question, are you thinking of hurting yourself? We go straight to the point and say, are you thinking of killing yourself?
Right.
Because, as I mentioned, a lot of times they don't consider that to be hurting what they're going to do.
Yeah.
So Are You OK just encourages everyday people to look after everyday people.
Yeah.
Are You OK doesn't give help to people who are contemplating suicide. Are You OK gives help to people like you, people like my neighbours, people I work with, gives them the strength and the confidence to ask that important question, hey buddy, are you OK? I'm worried about you.
Yeah. And then there's something coming up. I remember when I had my episode back all those years ago, and I was taken to hospital and they pumped my stomach and whatever it is that they did, and then they had a psychologist come in and assess me, said, no, you're ready to go home. And I went home and no one spoke about it again. No one said a word, and I was left to navigate life on my own. So when you get to that point with people and you've asked them the questions, you've had the conversation, then what? Like, what happens after that? Because there is a stigma around it still. So what happens after
Oh,
that?
it is. Yeah. Look, Are You OK have developed a simple 4-step conversation that is going to deal with this situation. Now, the first step is we ask that question, are you okay? Now, it doesn't have to be those words. That's the catchphrase that we use, but it can be whatever fits into the way that you would normally speak to someone else. It can be, hey, mate, you okay? Hey, sis, I'm worried about you, whatever it is. But you ask that question to start the conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
The second step that we encourage people to do is to actually listen to what people are saying.
Yeah.
And treat it seriously. I started off policing in an era where if you said you had a problem, you'd be told, if you have an issue, here's a tissue, build a bridge and get over it, take a tablespoon of concrete, harden up.
I've said those words.
Yeah,
Okay.
so we need to listen to what people are saying.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
key type of things you're listening for is if someone says, I'm a failure, I can't cope,
Yeah.
I can't go on, I don't know what to do,
Yeah.
that they're really showing that there is a major issue in their life that they're troubled by. We also need to listen to what people aren't saying.
I was just going to say that it's the words they're not saying. Yeah.
Yeah, the typical Aussie vernacular. You okay, mate? Yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah, we'll be
And
right.
basically, they're saying I'm fine, but they're really saying head left to right.
Yeah.
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
So you're looking for those things that cause you a concern. And tell people and say, look, I'm concerned about you. I care for you. I'm worried about you, and I'm here for you. So first step, once again, ask, are you okay? Second step, listen to what people say. And the third step is just to encourage action.
Yeah.
All right, we're not trained in mental health and in treatment, but what we are trained as people is to be able to care and just encourage people to do something about it. A lot of the questions that we call them in policing WH questions. So what, when, why, where, who, all those ones sort of really demand an answer. Now, what's the problem? If you say, is there a problem, people can say yes or no. If you say, what's the problem,
Yeah.
they're going to hopefully talk about it. Okay.
Yeah.
And so we just encourage people to take action, whether it be to get in touch with a GP. And look, I know in Australian communities, that's not always as easy as it sounds. A lot of people don't have a GP, or it's hard to get into them.
Yeah.
But we do all have access to things like LifeLine on 13, 11, 14.
Yeah.
And I have those type of numbers put into my phone.
Yeah.
So that if I talk to someone and they say, yeah, I've got an issue, I need to talk to someone, I've got those resources there available to pass on to them.
Yeah.
Now, our fourth simple step in having an RUA conversation, perhaps the most important one, is to check in on those people after you've had the conversation.
Yeah.
Just see how they're going, see if things have improved, see if there's anything else that people need. So those 4 steps can do a lot to help a person when they are in those really rough times.
Yeah. Yeah. We've got another program down here in Tassie called Stay Chatty.
Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, and again, aimed at the male population, which for some reason I totally understand, they're the hardest ones to get them to open up and talk. Women are fine. We'll go to the cafe and chat and chat and chat. But men, they're so stoic. There's like this. It's ingrained in their DNA. That's the way that it looks. So that's like thinking on this topic. It's like, is it changing? Is the landscape changing for men right now? What is your experience? Are you seeing a wave of change yet?
Oh, there is. Definitely. In my organisation, there's a change from when I started policing in 1975 to now. There is a change. The Australian community is changing,
Yeah.
so there is that, but we still have a long, long way to go.
Yeah.
This year on Are You OK Day, I did a presentation to a bunch of builders down at the Sydney fish markets, and I've spoken to some hard, violent, tough people in my time, but these builders, they just didn't want to let anyone in the door.
Yeah.
They unfortunately feature very heavily in problems for men, both physical and mental. The building industry around Australia's got its definite problems at the moment. Financially, things are tough. So there's still a lot to be done.
Yeah.
And the way that we can address a lot of that is by just staying connected as people. One of the things that I like to do at least weekly is to randomly go through the contacts in my telephone and find one that I haven't spoken to for a while and just give them a call. Just call someone you haven't spoken to for a while, and it just makes a world of difference to people.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, it does. It's that human connection. It's that human contact, feeling like that you belong, which is a basic human need, feeling like you belong to a tribe. So for quite a few years before I left Sydney 5 years ago, I worked for the PCYC. So I had a lot to do with police, in on duty and what have you. Some of my best friends are still in the force. And I remember just after I left, I had a phone call from one of my friends that still works there, and she said, "Oh, do you remember so-and-so? She was found dead last night. She took her own life." And I thought, that's so sad. It was so tragic. So my question when I was working with the service people, and I also ran a program called the Traffic Offender Program, and I worked with the police and I worked with AMBOs, a lot of service people. And my question to them was always, who's caring for you? I know you're caring for other people, but who cares for the carer? So, Garry, I'm going to ask you, who's caring for you? Because you've seen the worst of humanity, the worst. So who cares for you?
I'm very fortunate. I have a strong family structure around me, a very supportive wife. I possess, whilst not a person of practicing faith, I possess my own faith. My GP is constantly nagging me about physical and mental well-being. I see a psychologist, so I can off gas and talk professionally with confidence about things that I've seen and get techniques on how to deal with things and that are in the past and deal with things that are happening in front of me. Simple things such as breathing techniques, settling the nervous system down. And I have my own well-being practices, one of which, as you mentioned, is my love of photography and the fact that I really should be living in Tasmania. I get down there about every second month.
Come on down.
And I have come down. I've got good friends down there that I get out and go taking photos with. And one of the things that really is healthy for me is getting into country and taking photographs in the bush. I think our DNA takes us back. We that's where we came from. We didn't come from cities. We didn't come from apartments. We came from the country. And I feel my best when I'm in areas that are with lots of green. I'm going in March, April over to the Tarkine with a good Tasmanian photographer, a bloke called Ben Wilkinson, and we're going into the Tarkine, then over to Cradle Mountain to just capture the green.
Yeah.
So I just maintain an awareness that the same as we have to look after our physical health, we need to look after our mental health.
Yeah.
And it's very important for me that every so often I do a checkup from the neck up.
Oh, I love that. The check up from the neck up. Yeah, I look at it from a spiritual perspective as well. I want to see the energy behind what's actually happening in their life. That's where I come from. I've got quite a few clients that come to see me who are police officers who have, again, like I said, have seen the worst of humanity. And I've got a girlfriend still in the force in Sydney who works for she works out of Parramatta. She's a detective, and she looks after child abuse cases.
Mm.
And I'll ring her every now and then and go, "How you doing? What's going on? How do you manage the intake of trauma that you're witnessing?" Yeah, so we just share about stuff, and I just make sure she's okay, because it is
Yeah,
a lot for the human psyche to take in and process, a lot. And I honor anyone in that field.
mm. And let's not forget our, our colleagues and friends in areas such as nursing that are working under those constant pressures as well.
Yeah.
There's so many people in the community that do a calling that, we do what we do so other people don't have to do it.
Yeah.
And it's a thing that has to be done. And my belief is that my place of spirit was that I was called to do this job. And if I wasn't able to do it, I wouldn't have been called to do it.
Yeah.
So I have the confidence that I'm in the right calling. And whilst I'm at the back end of my career now, another 5 or so years will see me out. It's always been a real privilege to be able to serve the community.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. We're just about to sign off, Garry, but before you go, if there's someone watching right now who has had those thoughts of ending it all because it's all too much, and I get that, what's the one thing you can say to them right now? What's your last piece of, that nugget that you want to give to that person?
You're not alone, and there's people
Yeah.
who care,
Yeah.
and there's no problem that can't be dealt with.
Yeah.
I saw a fellow up here who worked in the Hawkesbury. They suffered the floods. He lost his house twice in about 2.5 years. And he
Wow.
said, it's only a problem if money can't fix it. All right. Now, for people, money can't fix those problems, but you've got plenty of people around, and you're not alone. You're not
Yeah.
alone.
That's right. Thank you. Yeah, we've got it. I think for me, I live in this gorgeous community, and I say community because there is very much a community spirit down here. We all look out for each other. That is important. I think that if we can just start as humanity, as a people, if we start developing that sense of community again, that we're
Yes.
not here alone on the earth, we are part of the greater cosmos. Yeah, we can really affect the mental well-being of humans.
Oh,
It's
right.
hard
Yeah,
being
and
human.
just be kind. You
Be
just don't know
kind.
what. Yeah, you
Mm,
just don't know what the person next to you is going
mm,
through in life, and
yeah,
just be understanding.
yeah,
We're all in this together.
yeah, exactly. Garry, thank
Mm.
you so much, and I so honor the work that you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and it's been a pleasure to talk to you, and I hope the message gets out.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Garry.
Thank you.
Bye now.
Cheers. Bye.